Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Sammy Lega here representing Team JVS, here to give you guys another movie review. I was supposed to initially have this with my good friend and fellow team member, Jedi Mike 7, but we're going to come back with maybe a spoiler discussion, and I'm talking about the last DCEU movie, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. So Jason Momoa is back as Aquaman. I mean, Jason Momoa is always charismatic, insane. I mean, the last time that he was in a movie that I saw I really loved was The Fast and Furious, and he knocked it out the park. And I think that within this role, Aquaman, he's made it his own. I mean, he's been in this role literally for about 12 years. I think him and The Rock were initially the two first people to get officially greenlit for characters in the DCU. So it's just crazy that he's going to be the last. But let's go ahead and kind of break it down. What did I think about the movie as a whole? So I personally don't like certain aspects of the first one, namely the relationship between Aquaman and Mira. I just didn't think it never worked. I think that there was a lot of cheesy, cringy moments with trying to kind of maneuver around their relationship. But the things that did work in the first one, I think, was the action, the intense battle sequences, the fantastical elements of just how crazy it was and how crazy the underworld elements could be for DCU. I mean, it's I don't want to make comparisons, but a lot of people were like, the Submariner world, like, did a really good job with that as far as like Black Panther 2, and they did. But one of the things about this is that they could really go full tilt if they really wanted to, and I think the first one did a really good job establishing that. The other thing that worked really well in the first one was Orm and Jason Momoa's character, Arthur. I think that their sibling rivalry was one of the things I actually liked about that. And also, I mean, watching Nicole Kidman like kick butt as like um, the Atlantean queen was also a plus. All those things they doubled down on in the second one, which worked. I think the second one, as far as the action sequences, they worked. Like some of the last 3 to 2 action moments in this were freaking great. Like, make no mistake, James Wan can absolutely direct very well. Like it's two lanes. He can direct action very well, and he can absolutely direct the fantastical but yet sinister moments. The opening shot of this one was very sinister. It was very like elemental. You didn't know if this was going to be kind of a horror. I wish they had leaned into the horror more, because there are certain elements of how they took Black Manta in this one. And I mean, you got such a great actor in Yaya. I was really hoping they would lean into that. That's going to be part of my negatives. I'll talk about that in the second one. But to watch Black Manta be Black Manta that we know from the comics, and to watch him really lean into that sinister side was absolutely a plus. To see him just go for the juggler for Arthur was really intense and really well done. I also think that Randall Park in this one as the Doctor, I think he added a really natural comedic element to this because he's a great actor, and he's also a great comedian. And so every single moment that he kind of riffed between natural comedy as well as also like terror, I think he sewed those scenes to make this feel like, oh wow, this is a really big threat. Now, I'm going to jump into a little bit of negatives when I talk about that, because everyone that was working along Black Manta, they were like the foot soldiers that just did not work. They were unbelievable. I'm sorry, they weren't believable. They were very cringy. It just did not come off well. Like, there are certain key members that I think worked out, but then it was kind of like, Black Manta, why do you have them? And I get it, you got to have people to, command the submarine, but I don't know, it just did not work. It would have been better if they would have used, like, you know, combat Navy SEALs or something like that from his old military days or something like that, and not giving them uniforms. Like, the uniforms were just too much. And I think that the crazy thing is, like, his uniform was fantastic. Like, that worked. Now, go back to some of the positives. A lot of people didn't know how much Amber Heard was going to be in this movie. She's in it quite a bit. But they don't focus or hone in on their relationship. and she really doesn't have that much dialogue in the movie. I don't know if they removed a lot of the dialogue or if that just never was, but it works for this film because it doesn't draw the focus on her, which is weird because in this one, Arthur does have a child with her. And so I didn't have any issues with their relationship because they didn't really have conversation back and forth, which is weird to say when you got like the love of your life, your queen, and doesn't have that much dialogue at all in it. It worked for this film, but it still, at the times, is really weird. Now, Jason Momoa and how he captures Aquaman, I think works. I think that he nailed Aquaman in a way that nobody else could have. Because from a physicality standpoint, he can do all these different things. But also, I mean, it's a guy that talks to fish. Now, granted, we've seen what, the Submariner is all about. We've seen what they did with Wakanda Forever. So we know, you can have like a more serious tone. But I think that it works in the confounds of this because one of the best elements of this movie is Patrick Wilson and Jason Momoa digging off each other. They go back and forth throughout the whole entire film, and it really does work. And I think the thing about Orm in this one, the Ocean Master, I really dug him in this. Like, I think that he, on so many different levels, saves a lot of this movie. That's not to say that Jason Momoa doesn't. I think it's just that there are certain elements in this that are very cringy and cheesy when it comes to the Black Manta's crew and how they work, their inner workings. They just overdid certain things with the Doctor, even though I love Randall Park's interpretation of the character and how he worked as far as his acting capability. It just wasn't going the route it could have went from a tonal shift standpoint, which I'll get to that in a second. But it was kind of like, I really did like their breaking forth through their relationship and their issues through trauma. Nicole Kidman wasn't this as much. I wish she would have actually been a little bit more, but the moments that she did give her, I think she did a decent job in. William Dafoe wasn't in this at all. Like, they completely cut him out of this movie, as well as they cut some other things, but I'll get into that a little bit later because this is a non-spoiler review. Without going too many spoilers. How do I say this? When it comes to the antagonist, which is Black Manta, there are underlying threats that are very intriguing, that I dare say were menacing and terrifying, and they absolutely scrap all of that. they use none of, like, the build up for that could have been an absolute great tonal shift. Matter of fact, you actually got things that Aquaman could lose. Like, you have actual threats that actually, like, you got, I don't want to spoil it. There's so many different things that they could have used as a bargaining chip to make Arthur more refined as a superhero. And instead of allowing it to go and push down on the gas, they just let it go. Like, the ending is just a let go. And I don't know if it's because the DCU is going to the DCU, but that did not service the movie. Because I think the movie should just went down with the gas and went that tonal route. And I think it would have been a way better ending and an all-around closeout for the DCU as a whole. Instead, they kind of just let it go for comedy and sensitivity, but it just did not work for certain characters. I don't want to spoil too much of it. That's why I said this is really kind of hard to say. And also, there is an end credit scene, but it's irrelevant end credit scene. The ending of this, you can tell originally this was set up for something different. And that's all I can say without spoilers. We'll go into it in the spoiler discussion. But as a film, I don't think it was bad at all. I give this a 7.5 out of 10, or 7.5 out of 10. Like, I think this is better than the first one. Like, hands down. Like, I actually really enjoyed this. Even though some of the things I picked apart, I mean, it would be no more, I wouldn't give it anything less than a 7. Like, this is something I would absolutely go and watch again from an enjoyability standpoint, because from a VFX standpoint, from an action standpoint, it hit. Didn't have any stupid, random, cringy songs in it. Didn't have this overlong, love drawn out craziness. The things that worked, it worked. And yet, there are things that didn't work. But again, I digress. Make sure you go and check out Aquaman. It's available right now. Let me know what you guys think of it. If you've already seen it, hit me up in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys have a great new year. Keep it locked. JVS, we ain't gonna stop. Peace, guys.